I am here today with Igor Smeliansky, the Director General of Ukroposhta, the Ukrainian Postal Service. Igor, welcome to the Smithsonian National Postal Museum.
It's great to be back in Washington.
It's great to see you. I want to thank you not only for your time today, but also what you and your entire team at Ukroposhta have been doing in these very difficult times of war, where cities, towns have been devastated, even museums have been targeted. And so we really appreciate, and I really think it's an honor to be with you here today. I know people are going to want to hear about what Ukroposhta has been doing, the challenging times it's had. I also know that given our audience, they will also be very interested in learning about the stamps that you've issued and the stories behind the stamps, those that you've used to battling the odds, to overcoming adversity, and of survival.
And just to make Postal Service cool.
Yeah, exactly. But now you started at the Ukroposhta about 6 years ago?
6 years ago.
Did you ever imagine being in this kind of position come February of last year?
Well, I actually never imagined I would last that long as a CEO of Postal Service, but obviously we're never prepared for things like this. We prepared for some of the events. We have emergency plans. We had some forecast, but I don't think we would be able to prepare for anything of that magnitude.
And what was particularly challenging as the war started?
The single most difficult thing is your employees' lives and people's lives. And it's something that they live with every day, where I need to make a decision where they should or should not go to work. So it's a balance between saving their lives and saving lives of millions of people, because in Ukraine, during the war, Postal Service is more just the Postal Service. We do evacuations of businesses, we provide food, medicine, pensions, everything. Because if you think about the occupied and occupied territories and the territories close to the front lines, they don't have power. And when you don't have power, you don't have banks working, you don't have stores open, and you have the entire infrastructure destroyed. So the Postal Service for them is the lifeline, where we bring everything they need right away, and to keep people basically living a relatively normal life, obviously, as much as possible.
Well, and I remember reading about that it's not just delivering pension checks, because if you deliver a pension check and there's no bank, so how do you overcome that?
Yeah, we obviously keep it in cash, so people can use it. Again, right now, we actually set a much higher goal. We want to have in 6 months 100% digital Ukraine, so that people in every single city or village can obtain those basic services. Why? Because imagine the entire infrastructure is destroyed, and we're obviously waiting for our counteroffensive to begin, but we know what's waiting for us there. So it's nothing, but people are there waiting for our army and for Ukraine, and they're waiting for the services. So how do you do it? And that's why we launched thousands of movable branches so that can reach hard-to-reach areas. We acquired thousands of generators, Starlinks, handheld devices for our mail carriers, so they can help people to order whatever they need. And I said, imagine a grandma after bomb and shelling, she can order her favorite tea, or tablecloth, or chocolate, because chocolate helps to deal with stress, as they know.
Among other things.
Among other things. So our mail carriers can take those orders and bring it next time. And these people.
So wait, they have devices that.
Yeah, we already acquired over 17,000 devices. We're now finishing writing software which will work offline and online, and they can take any orders, including stamps, to bring people in those hard-to-reach areas. And again, hopefully move away from cash. But for now, the cash is the only way to operate, because there is no connection, there is no power.
That is amazing, and obviously very needed.
We are paying, for example, Red Cross payments. We pay International Organization for Migration payments. Again, if you think about for the occupied areas, we need to bring hryvnia, Ukrainian currency, to substitute Russian currency. Because when our army deoccupies it, that's the only thing they have there. And to reintegrate them back, it's important to bring that cash. It's important for people to hold it, not just hold it, they use it. Because once they're using, they're going back to their pre-war life. There are small bazaars, small shops starting to operate. And so we have to restart local economy in this way and to help it grow.
So how closely do you coordinate with the other branches. I'm thinking, you're talking about ordering, you're talking about banking, you're talking about some of these, but some of these other issues are not part of Ukroposhta's business operations, or at least pre-war they weren't.
We do lots of things. We exchange bulbs because we need to reduce, as Ukraine, we need to reduce energy consumption. So we help people to exchange by now 20 million bulbs for LED bulbs. We bring, as I mentioned, food, medicine, obviously pensions, parcels. People order parcels, people move between cities and villages. They use us to help with the move. But we do coordinate. I mean, when we need to go, we have to check with our military. We need to check with the special forces. We need to check with miners, because the worst thing is the mining team.
Okay.
Because that will be the challenge for years to come, to provide a safe place for people to come to us or for us to drive to them. So we have to make sure that that's usually why we are not there the next day, because we are ready to go the next day. City or village is freed up. We usually wait for 2-3 days because we have to have go ahead from the guys and girls that do the mining, that it's safe to go. So they prepare actually our branches or the location where we can work are the first ones to be demined, so we can go and start working.
And I imagine a lot of your traditional post offices have been destroyed during the
There
war.
are over 500 post offices. That's why, for example, now, as we prepare again for counteroffensive, we are buying container-type branches, so we can drop them and start work immediately with generator and Starlink. We have the movable branches, which come first, because at the end of the day, you need to get your employees. They may or may not necessarily be there. Then there is obviously a moral choice. Do you hire people who work with Russians? Especially if, for example, Crimea, it's been now for 8-9 years, or Donetsk and Lugansk region. So, but before we get someone's back, they have to do security checks. So we service people through movable branches. So they come from other controlled territories and work right away while we're doing all other things.
I'm trying to comprehend all of this, right? With your mail carriers, you talk about the safety of your mail carriers. Obviously, the conditions change day to day, even moment to moment. What is a typical day like for a mail carrier? I mean, do they get up and do they know where they're going for sure? Or maybe that's an unfair question. There is no typical.
There is no typical, and obviously we check every day per military situation. It could be safe today, and then in 5 minutes they start shelling, so it's no longer safe. So we adjust per situation. Sometimes we use now armored cars, armored vehicles to get to the points. Sometimes we adjust
that
the
would
days.
take the mail carriers.
Yeah, take the mail carriers. We actually now have Ukroposhta armored vehicles that go there. And so there's no typical day. It's whatever the current situation today. Before I came to you today, we already reviewed the plans. We made some decisions where we will or will not go. Every morning we start from restoring our branches. So I'm sure you're familiar with the theory of broken windows, right? So there should not be a broken window. So if our branches have been shelled at night, we do everything we can that by lunch they're operating. So we clean up, we either restore windows or close it down with wood and start operating.
And what was it like at the beginning of the war? Because there was so much uncertainty. I know communication and connection is very important, but from people outside of Ukraine, to get letters, to get parcels, was that an issue at all?
It was an issue because we work 24 hours a day, and obviously we take our mail overnight. Now during the war, the curfew is instituted, so you cannot drive at night for lots of reasons. You cannot drive at night anymore. So what we've done is, with a friend of mine who was the CEO of Ukrainian Railways, we got together and thought, look, remember in the old days, the mail was carried by railway. It was not done for like 21 years in Ukraine. So we met with him in Lviv for a cup of coffee and said, let's just do it. And in 5 days, without any memorandum, we had not consulted lawyers or anybody else, he found the old postal cars We repaired.
But they still existed.
Yeah, apparently. They restored some of the old ones. We restored the loading docks. And in 6 days, we start moving a lot of mail by rail. And I think over 10 million parcels has been moved by then, including the humanitarian aid and everything else. So we've dealt with that. Then from the first day of the war, all airports have been shut down. And we had over 90 flights per day connecting Ukraine with the world. 50% of our export parcels were coming to the US. And it's not just the parcel, because it's people who sell on Amazon, Etsy, eBay. On Etsy, there are 1.3 million Ukrainians SKU that people sell. And we knew if we stop, people will lose their businesses. And we launched it through other countries. We actually chartered our own plane from Poland, so we would bring the parcels to Poland, take the plane to New York, and on the way back it would bring humanitarian supplies, so it doesn't fly empty. But I think when people hear it, it's not personable. So just to give you one story. I travel a lot, as you can imagine, around Ukraine. So I went to one of the cities, was pretty hard hit, and the air sirens just went off like 5 minutes ago. I'm in our branch, and this young girl comes in to the branch with the parcel box. She recognized me, wanted to take a selfie for her Instagram page. So I asked her what is she sending, and she says that she has a business of selling wedding glassware in the US. And because we're operating, she maintains 5 families through that business. So you see, we understood how important, and there are like hundreds and thousands of stories like this. People in Kharkiv, in Lviv, in Odessa, between the shelling, they maintain their businesses, and they sell on these international marketplaces. And we obviously have to deliver, and we do.
And the pressure you feel to deliver, because
And the fun. Because
And the fun, that's true. That's true.
We know that we deliver it works, and people appreciate it. And going back to the stamps, to satisfy the demand, we are the first postal service to open the stores on Amazon and eBay. So no postal service ever done it. And
they all have their own.
we have our own,
fine.
but in the US, people know the marketplaces that they trust,
Sure.
and they get used to searching. So actually, eBay gave us a Rising Star Award this year for maintaining global delivery standards. So not having one airport, we are maintaining global delivery standards per eBay, pretty tight rules, so people get their stamps as soon as possible.
It's amazing. I'm speechless, really. I mean, speaking of stamps, how many stamps were you printing prior to the war?
It was about 43 issues per year. Average was about 25,000 per issue.
And now?
In millions. But it depends. I mean, it depends. We had the first famous stamp at 1 million. The second stamp was 5.
5 million.
5 million sold out. Then the third stamp was also 5. The Good Evening, we are from Ukraine. And then we thought, we have to bring it down. So then it was about 1 million. Now the average design is about up to 600,000, 607,000.
So, speaking of that first stamp, so on February 24th, Russia invades Ukraine. This Russian ship Moskva goes up to Snake Island, occupied by Ukrainian forces, Ukrainian land, and it asks the soldiers there to surrender. And of course, there was a very famous picture that circulated around the world, with the Ukrainian soldiers saying, "Russia's ship, go blank yourself."
So.
How did you even think of becoming a stamp?
That event, those were the first months of the war. Very hard month where lots of people were afraid. And this became a symbol of our fight, right? Because it was the main Russian warship. And just a small contingent of Ukrainian border guards and Navy SEALs at that island. But nevertheless, they sent the Russian ship where it had to go. So I thought, this is that's the event that was to be stamped in the history. So I knew it was not conventional. I'm sure the team was concerned that never in history they actually did some search. Never in history there were stamps issued, at least that they could find with a certain language. But I thought, what
Or
we
a
need
certain image,
a
too.
certain image.
Or
I
hand
thought
gesture.
the image actually came later because when I said, look, we have to launch it. We did not have an image, and we asked different artists to draw it for a national competition. And so people send us over 500 drawings, even kids. There are some really cool ones, even harsher than the one that we print. So there were some, harsher ones. And then we pick, I think, 5 leading designs and ask people to vote. So over 8,000 people voted for the design that now is famous for the stamp. I actually voted for another design, but people voted for this one. There are many stamps that we issued when people voted. Only once I got the design right. So, but you see, we're a democratic country.
Yeah.
So if people vote for the particular design or particular theme, that's the design they get.
Are you going to do a book of those stamps that did not make it into an official stamp?
Probably. There are some really good designs. You've probably seen 3 stamps that we issued were designed by kids. So Maria stamp is designed by a kid. New Year stamp was designed by a girl. And now on June 1st, the Kids Day, International Kids Day, we're going to issue another one that was designed by kids.
Are they selected via competition or?
Oftentimes it's a competition, yeah. Because, kids want fairness. So, you have to give them, and, they get involved, they send us their drawings, their pictures, and it's really cool.
So.
And, because this war, going back to your question, this war is a war of emotions. Ukraine is about the future, Russia is about the past. That's why, by the way, we launched the first stamp on April 12th, because it's the day the first spaceship was launched by USSR, and it's a big day in Russia. So I thought, they launched the spaceship, we're launching the stamp on the same day, and
so that was planned.
That was planned. That was planned. I picked the date that I thought would piss them off as hard as possible, and we launched it. And 2 days later, the ship was sank by our Navy, which means, the ship got the message, because we had the post we delivered. So, that was the most important part. And obviously, after that, the stamp became sensation. A few more times after that, as you know, we issued the stamps, which Russians suspected was part of the special ops. Because stamps are usually issued post-event. So our stamps are pre-events. They have a predictive ability.
So I want to get to that stamp or one of those stamps, but 2 days after that, as you said, that you issued the Russian warship Go Blank Yourself, the Moskva was sunk.
For now, just the ship, but then the Moskva will come later.
Okay, that's true. It took me a second on that. But give us your thought process to kind of come back and reissue a revised version of the Russian warship Go Blank Yourself.
Despite the fact that we issued 1 million stamps, it was not enough to satisfy the demand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think the 1 million was sold like in a few days. You've probably seen the thousands of people staying in lines on the website. So it was sold
Well,
like in a few days.
during war, you see people around the block lining up at a post office in Ukraine.
Yeah, and then they disregard the air alarms and everything, and they just wanted to get their stamp. So there you realize you've done something worthy. So whatever the risk we took, it was all worthwhile. And there was a discussion, so people were asking us, print more. And I said, look, there are some rules I don't want to break. That was the stamp. It was issued when the warship Moscow was above the water. Now it's under the water. So issuing the stamp with Moscow above the water doesn't make sense anymore. It's already there.
Yeah.
So, but people wanted, they wanted the stamp, so we found a compromise. We issued the new stamp called Russian warship Done, where with the same soldier holding the same sign, but just a clean sea without the soldier. And we did the additional, not stamp, but design with the first stamp so people can see with and without. And I think this way we fulfill our obligations. We maintain postal rules. You don't print
Yeah,
any more
don't really-
stamps than the original design announced, but at the same time, we sort of complete the series.
Well, and you said that the first stamp, you issued 1 million. Pre-war, you were issuing 50,000, 100,000
Dozen.
stamps per issue.
Yep.
So going to 1 million, excuse me, is a big jump. The revised stamp, Mission Done, you said you issued 5 million.
Yeah,
Did you have any clue that, did they sell out?
yeah, they sell out.
It's,
I think there are like maybe 10,000 remaining, 10 to 12,000. But when I see something remaining, I said, look, it's good. Because once we free up Crimea, or Donetsk and Lugansk, people want to buy our stamps. So same as they did in Kherson. We sold the first stamp. We hold some of the amount of the first stamp in reserves because I promise they will be sold in Kherson. And they were after liberation. So the same thing we'll do in Crimea, in Donetsk and Lugansk after we liberate them.
it's,
You cannot discriminate, right? The stamp,
yeah, no,
stamp,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the postal service should be available for everyone. So that's what we're striving to do.
so your turnaround on issuing stamps is clearly very quick. Here in the United States, there's a Citizen Stamp Advisory Committee, and between their deliberations and when a stamp is finally issued is about 3 years. Yours seems to be about a week.
No, I mean, it's about a month because at the end of the day, you still need to print, you get the colors right, you know, they need to dry up, etc. So the production process takes a month, but then the design varies. Sometimes it's fast.
Well, and do you have a review committee?
We do. But I won't lie. I do make those decisions. I hear the opinions, but you know, I think the stamps took a different mission, different role. They don't have to be artistically perfect. They just have to reflect what people think, especially when the kids draw it. It will not be artistically perfect, but it will strike the chord. It will strike chord with emotions, and that's why for now, my team and I we are making the decisions what, how, and when should be issued. Some of the things I cannot announce to them because I just have a feeling the stamp will come handy. So we change that process, but we do have a commission.
It's, I just think of all the things that you've shared with us just in the few minutes we've now been together. And do you sleep?
Usually it's about 3-4 hours a day.
And so you mentioned the Crimea Bridge. That was attacked October 8th, I believe. And when was that stamp issued?
October 8th, 1 hour after it was blown up.
1 hour after. So clearly someone was looking into a crystal ball.
So between 3 years and 1 hour, there is
Yeah.
there is a difference.
And a month, right?
In a month. No, I mean, we were confident in our armed forces, in our special ops. So we were preparing the stamps. We looked at different options. There was another famous design, you've probably seen it, that depict two people looking at the Crimean Bridge, a girl and a boy. And the stamp says, "Love is watching Crimean Bridge being blown up." But the design was released before, and I thought, we should not repeat it probably, even though people had asked us. And we look at different options. And this one, again, I think this one was complicated because there's lots of small details which usually don't really go well on the stamp. But the message in comparison with Titanic was, I think, so cool that we just could not pass it by.
Well, do you want to describe what that stamp looks like?
Yeah, the stamp looks like the famous scene from Titanic, and where they look at debris from the bridge, and not just debris. There are cars, there are washing machines, everything that Russians actually stolen from our apartments and homes. Because if you see those pictures, they come not as warriors, they come as looters. So, and that's what we want also to depict on the stamp, that through that bridge, they're just taking the property of Ukrainians. And we need to destroy that link between Russia and Ukraine, and to destroy the symbol, which Russia thinks is the symbol, of Crimea being part of Russia.
So I think after the Russian
And
wars,
it's fun.
Well, yeah, and clearly it's resonating. So if you think about, if you had to talk about some of the purposes or the reasons for issuing a stamp, what would those be?
It's to commemorate a certain event that will or was happening. It's to, first and foremost, to help people mood and emotions, because again,
Keep the morale up?
keep the morale up. The war is going for a year, and it's hard. I mean, some people been, without electricity, without heat, without normal food, and when they sleep, as I do, for 3-4 hours, because at night they have to go back and forth to shelter, they have to have something to look forward to. And what I've already seen that they like fun stamps. They like it's something that lights up their day, even for a short while, but it's still worth it. So that's how we pick the topics, and that's why we cannot plan. When people ask me, so what are what are our next issue? It's like, my plan is for the next month, because the situation changes, and what's interesting today may not be interesting tomorrow. Or there are some hard moral issues. For example, we have, unfortunately, lots of fallen heroes. We have, our soldier that said "Slava Ukraini" before he was killed. We have one of the younger commanders that were killed, and people said, "Look, you should issue the stamp." It would be normal reaction. But I said, "Look, for the families of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers that died, their family member is the hero. So I don't think I have moral authority to issue the stamp with a particular person and say this is the stamp dedicated to fallen heroes." And I made the decision that, look, I will not issue those stamps while the war is still ongoing. We'll do it after the war, absolutely, stamps dedicated to fallen heroes, but the first stamp dedicated to fallen heroes should not have a face of a particular one. It should be dedicated to all, so that every family that lost someone will feel it's dedicated to them. So, but again, obviously people have various opinions whether my decisions are right or wrong, why we did or did not issue a stamp. You can imagine now we have lots of requests from lots of organizations to issue a stamp, but you cannot overdo it. You cannot, we discussed before that we had 43 issues. I don't think I can do 43 quality issues now with design, with proper promo, with preparation. It's just impossible. And to be, to be up to date, to strike the chord. So I think we're now doing like once a month, maybe twice at most, because it does require preparation. Not 3 years.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But it does require preparation.
But you also have to gauge the sense of the your Ukrainians, and because do they need to be uplifted? Do they need to be reminded of some of the things that they're going through or suffering through? I think you had said before that with the competition for I think it was for the Russian warship Go Blank Yourself. I think you had talked about that there were a number of designs, and you had thought there might be a different design that was going to be selected.
But people selected, we have a privilege to have an opportunity to ask people what they like. And when it's like a public poll, how do they feel at the moment?
Yeah.
Because you cannot go wrong when millions of people, for the first stamp, about 8,000 people voted. For the second one, it was already 1 million.
It was over 1 million for and that was the redo of the Russian warship.
No, it was for the, which should be the next stamp after that, for Good Evening from Ukraine. So over 1 million people voted. We have a special app in Ukraine, government app where people can vote. And if you add up those votes and social media, it was over 1 million votes.
And are you still providing opportunity for Ukrainians to vote on new stamp designs?
Sometimes when we don't, we cannot answer ourselves what should be, or we have several options. We ask them, for example, for the New Year stamp, we ask them, what do you think should be? Because it's the first New Year, first war New Year.
That's true.
So there are different images you can depict that year. I personally thought, and actually this is the first time and one time that the image that I thought would win won, because this is the first year millions of families are not together around Christmas and New Year. So I thought this is what bothers people. That's what's that concerns them. That's what they feel. And again, that design one were depicting the girl and her husband or boyfriend at the front lines, and she is near the Christmas tree. So it's two sides of the New Year, and that's what struck chord with lots of people.
And do you look at the international market when you're issuing stamps, or is it really focused at home?
By now, I have an experience that when we issue a stamp, I can pretty much predict whether it will or will not be a popular international market. So among the latest, when we issue stamps with Banksy image.
Yeah, I had to ask you. I was going to ask you about that.
With Banksy image, I knew that would be popular internationally, and he even posted on his social media, which I think an admission that
a few followers.
A few followers, and I think that shows that we've done a good job and we pick the right topic. Though I must say we had a different image planned for that issue, but we did not get the author's permission to use that image, and we had to decide what do we do instead. And our team suggested, why do we do Banksy? And I think we've done that stamp in like a week and a half.
In a week and a half?
Week and a half, and we wrote to him, we wrote to his company, we developed design, and we proceeded.
And he was all in that quickly? Wow. Can you describe the stamp?
It's there are 5 pictures painted by Banksy in Ukrainian cities. So no one knew when he came. He painted them, and these are the cities.
Wait, no one knew, or did you know?
No. That one I didn't. That I must admit I did not. So it's Borodyanka, Bucha, and Irpin. So it's the cities that are now known for Russian atrocities, because these are the first cities that Russians came when they attacked during the first days of the war. One of those pictures is a small boy, basically putting out the judo fighter, and you can recognize in the judo fighter Russian president. So even though it doesn't say it, but that's I think his David and Goliath scenario, where a smaller Ukraine overcoming a much larger enemy. So we thought that would be a great symbol to do on the first year anniversary of the war. That while they were expecting that in 3 days they will finish the war, Ukraine is still fighting, and by now I think everyone realizes that we will win. It's just the issue of when.
And of course, Putin,
there will be a stamp, a victory stamp.
I hope so. I would expect so, or maybe a series of. And of course, the large, judo person being thrown by the little boy is Putin, because of course Putin prides himself on being a black belt.
And that's why the stamp is called. It's in letters, so it doesn't have the full phrase. But in Ukrainian, it reads "Putin go F."
Oh, really?
So, yes. So
I did not know that.
Yes, it's just in abbreviation. So it's a PTN PNH.
And how many did you print of that stamp?
Several 100,000.
Oh, you did, yeah.
And they all sold out like in 2 weeks.
And popular internationally.
Absolutely, that was a hit.
Yeah, that's I would imagine.
And obviously, we are thankful to Banksy first of all for his drawing and for his support.
And another stamp that you issued was "Good Evening."
By the way, some of our stamps do have humanitarian component. So, for example, many stamps are issued with additional copay that goes for humanitarian needs. So, for example, Banksy stamp, the copay will go toward building shelters in schools, so the kids can go back to stop going online and go in person. And now every school has to have a bomb shelter. So part of the proceeds from selling Banksy stamp will go toward building those shelters. Proceeds from Patron stamp goes toward buying demining machines. Some of the proceeds from other stamps go to support our armed forces. I don't even remember, but we bought, just recently we put up for auction 100 stamps, the first stamps in the frame, and we raised over 1 million hryvnias, and we just bought 10 new drones that we send to armed forces. So our stamps help directly and indirectly to fight. So there are millions now collected that we spent again on helping animal shelters, schools. We bought few computer classes for kids, and obviously supporting our army.
It's, I'm speechless. So you also have a stamp, good evening, we are from Ukraine. And that depicts a tractor. Well, here, what you should,
Yeah, so it's the real story from the first days of the war. It happened between Kryvyi Rih and Mykolaiv, which was hard hit by Russian forces, where the Russians left their tanks and Ukrainian farmers took their tractors and stole those tanks. Then they went to serve Ukrainian army. So it's the real story, and the stamp depicts the tractor hailing the tank, and the phrase became famous. It's a song, and by the way, we launched it with the song.
Yeah, we launched it. Is it a new song, or was it a song that already?
It was before we launched it. So when we launched the stamp, we did it on Fifth Square main square with the rap group that incorporates the song.
Amazing.
So I can show you a video. So it was really
I'd
cool
love to
launch.
see
And with the famous phrase "Good evening, we are from Ukraine," and people obviously put a different meaning. That first of all, Ukraine is alive. That we are still in our country. We are fighting. And it helps people, this phrase become like a catchphrase. Every night someone would say it, and it means we're still alive, we're fighting, and we continue to fight.
It's now, you issued a stamp when Ukraine took back Kherson. Was that issued in the city?
Yes, I launched. I actually
you launched it.
It was one of the first stamps that we launched on location. So I went to Kherson, and we launched it right on that square, the famous square that everyone seen across the globe now. And we launched it in Kherson because I said, Kherson stamp should be launched in Kherson, as Crimea stamp will be launched in Crimea.
When did you launch the stamp from the retaking of Kherson?
I
And don't
think-
tell me an hour.
No, that took a little bit, but I think a week. A week from the time that Kherson was liberated. So we had it ready to go.
And I think of all the stamp possibilities that you must continually to work on, not knowing what should be issued, whether because of an upcoming victory or whether because of the mood of the country. So do you have like a team of designers and people that are working 24/7 to coming up with these ideas?
We have our
Don't tell me
small
you
team.
designed the stamps too.
No,
Okay.
that's something I don't do. I don't do drawings. I'm horrible at it.
Me too.
But we have a small group. It's like 3 to 4 people that in charge of producing and printing the stamp and working with different artists. So we don't have artists on staff.
Oh, okay. You know.
We work with various Ukrainian artists, and if you've seen, all the stamp designs are different. So because you should not keep issuing the same type of design. They should be different. So that's why we're working with different designers. They offer us their views. Now it's easy, we're famous, so lots of people want to work with us. And we obviously sometimes give our vision what we think the stamp should represent, because you cannot just call artists and say, draw something, right?
Yeah, true.
You have to explain them what the stamp is about, what it should represent, and then just let the creativity take its chance.
And you've mentioned Patron, the dog. I think he's a Jack Russell Terrier.
Yeah, Jack Russell Terrier.
And what a great way to get that kind of message of importance of safety, with the mines really being spread out throughout of most of the eastern part of Ukraine. Who designed that, and how did that come about?
There actually I played the moral because if you think there are several stamps, so we wanted to depict first of all people who are targeted the most by those mines. It's kids because they pick things. It's farmers because when they go things, and on the beach because beaches and sea and rivers often mined. It's the people who are in near areas are getting hit, And also, I'm sure everyone by now knows about our grain deal that our ships can and cannot leave because the Black Sea is now mined. And to demine it will actually take years. And we wanted to highlight that importance. And then we also want some just fun stamps with patron in Vyshyvanka in Ukrainian dress. So, you have to be a balance between sending a message because it's important to send a message and still having fun doing it.
And and it accomplishes that for sure. And, we at the Postal Museum have our own dog mascot, so to speak. His name is Oni, a little scruffy mutt, but he used to ride the rail mail cars. And so we actually have Oni in the museum, which I'll show you a little bit later. Are there other stamps that you wanted to potentially talk or highlight that you're particularly, proud of, or that, well, let me stop there. That you're particularly proud of.
I mean, I like all our stamps, otherwise they wouldn't be issued, right? So as I mentioned, sometimes there's no democracy. But I certainly know some of the stamps were more successful than others. Sometimes they're more or less successful. We do have predictive ability, but when you're dealing with millions of people and their modes, it's hard to predict. I'm very proud that we brought up mood of millions of people across the globe. I'm proud that millions that we collected went to a good cause through the stamps. And I'm obviously proud when I go to front lines and soldiers see me. A lot of them have our stamps. Sometimes they ask me to sign it. And I think that's the most important part. Again, the emotions are important. The feelings are important. And the stamps became the symbol of our fight. And now the bar is pretty high, so we cannot screw it up.
No. Well, what would be the one stamp that you would like to issue?
It's a victory stamp. It's to be honest, I don't know how it should look like. So it may be another competition. But that stamp, no matter what we do, will be famous across the globe. Whether it's a fun stamp, whether it's a somber stamp, whether it's a stamp to piss off remaining parts of Russia, who knows? Obviously, everyone wants, the Red Square and Kremlin destroyed on some of the stamps. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think that would be the most important stamp, and I think that should end the series of war, and then we should start building new Ukraine, the post-war Ukraine, obviously celebrating and commemorating the fallen heroes, the people who did everything. For example, we have now a series for professions that help Ukraine to survive. Energy workers that help heat under shelling, communication workers, there will be doctors, railway workers. So people who hold our country together, that also help millions of people. So that's the series that will continue.
I just commend you for your leadership, for the team that you're leading at Ukroposhta, for all the incredible work that you're doing. I've learned so much from just talking with you here today, and it's complicated, and it's life and death, and it's not just for an individual, but for a country. And what you're doing is really incredible. And really thank you for your time here today. I think you know that when we saw the Russian warship Go Blank Yourself, come out, we actually, a team of our staff here looked into our vaults and discovered that we actually had two fairly rare stamp albums of Ukrainian stamps that were issued in 1918. And some of those stamps were issued by the government of Ukraine, but then some of them were repurposed Russian stamps with the Trident overprint.
Exactly.
And so we have that, and I'm looking forward to showing those to you here today. But also, thank you for the donation on behalf of Ukraine to the Smithsonian National Postal Museum of the stamps that you've brought with you, including the first day cover that is signed, of the Russian Go Blank Yourself stamp signed by the President and the First Lady. We will treasure that, and we're looking forward to adding that into our collection here today.
Absolutely. I'm also thankful to the President and First Lady that took their time to sign it. And I hope I will get a chance to get you another cover with our victory stamp signed by them in the very near future.
I hope so too. Thank you so much, Igor.
Thank you very much.
All right, so what I have here are some items from the National Postal Museum that I've pulled out of our storeroom. The first item I was hoping to show you is this envelope. This was a letter that was mailed to Russia, you can see, on March 1st. And what you have here on top of it is a note saying the service has been suspended and it has to be returned to sender. I thought you would enjoy seeing.
Absolutely. We actually stopped on the 24th, and we're actually thankful for many postal services that suspended their services, and the stamp is pretty cool. I have to take the picture of it. we have the story where the small parcel was sent from Kherson to Chernivtsi, and it did not make it because Kherson got occupied. So it stayed, we didn't know it. It stayed in the post office, in the like a small part of post office, until liberation, and then we actually delivered it. So you should have seen 6 months later, and the woman that received it, she's like, "I'm not going to open it. I'm going to frame it." So she actually has that unique parcel that we delivered. So it's sent February 22nd and received, I think, December 5th.
Wonderful. Must have meant a lot to her.
But we delivered, you see. She did not ask us for, to pay the penalty for late delivery and stuff.
That was very kind and generous of her. Right, so here's the Russian warship stamp with "done" written across it. Pull it out so we can have a close look together. So if you could describe again the difference, why was this one issued? What changed in the illustration?
So obviously people wanted us to reissue this stamp with the ship, but when we issued the stamp, the ship was still there, right? Now it's no longer there, so there's no point of issuing the stamp when the ship is doing like a submarine work. But people really wanted us, because not everyone were able to buy the first stamp, so we thought we'll do a series. So here you see the soldier already with the clean sea without any Russian warships, and the first part of it is a coupon that says Russian warship is done. So we found the compromise of not breaking the rules and describing exactly what happens, because I thought if it's already in people are actually asking whether we should do a stamp with this thing under the sea on the bottom, but we said, Russian submarine series is not really in our plan, so we don't really want to do it.
Why do you think that this design won the contest?
This one was not big. I mean, the first one?
The original.
The original, as I said, there were harsher designs, but we still try to find a balance between, sending a message and being artistically appropriate and fun. So I think people pick really this one because it was interesting design, well drawn, and it sent direct message because there are lots of designs with the words. The artist made words the key part of the design, and this one I think was different because you don't need the words to describe what was said. So I think we obviously put the words there, but you don't need the words, and I think that's why this design had won.
Let's put it back. Okay, let's see what I have next. Do you use tweezers when you're handling the stamps?
Well, I mean, when you have like lots of people and they're handing me the stamps to sign, not, but in general, yes.
Just kidding. Okay, so this is a pretty special cover for the National Postal Museum. This cover has a cancellation mark on it, and I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about both the stamp, the cover, and also the cancellation mark.
Sure. You see, that's for now it's the first and the only stamp of the war which we had launched in and outside of Ukraine. So this stamp was simultaneously launched in New York, Kiev, and Kharkiv region, where the museum, Skovoroda Museum, is actually located. It was heavily damaged by Russian forces, as we call them. When they shoot something, they said it's a critical command center. So I'm sure the museum was the critical command center of Ukrainian culture, I guess. So that's why I think it's unique in the sense that it signifies the efforts from museums to restore it back. And I hope we do. As you see, here is the charitable component that goes toward museum restoration. And Skovoroda is the symbol of Ukrainian philosophy, of Ukrainian history. And I think it's the right hero to pick to start the museum restoration. I don't know where we're going to launch our victory stamp. That will probably require lots of stamps and countries that help us to win in this war. But we unfortunately still have some time to plan it out. Must be like a big envelope that you can stamp in every country that supported us.
Okay, so that's a great segue because I know that Canada has been a friend to Ukraine for many, many years. And so what we have here are the semi-postal stamps that Canada issued. And I wondered if you could comment on those and maybe also the relationship between Canada and Ukraine.
Canada has been supporter, and I want to thank a few people there who constantly, from the day one of this war, has been in touch with us. Raj, who is the head of international. But when they issued the stamp, we didn't know about it. So we find it out when they issued, and they sent us, obviously, a copy. And we really thank the Canadian Post and Canadian people for support, because it's really important. You can feel some countries, because they have a large Ukrainian community, like in Canada, they feel personal attachments, and obviously not every stamp we issue can be bought in Canada. So I think they're doing part of our work. But again, I'm thankful for them for their support, that they've supported us through this period. We actually have some more plans jointly with Post of Canada, which hopefully we'll realize later this year. And I think the stamp is cool.
And talk to me a bit about the sunflower and how it's evolved, especially recently. I've seen it more and more on illustrated material related to the national identity of Ukraine.
So the sunflower was picked as a symbol of the fallen soldiers. And for example, there is a day of remembrance on August 28th, where the sunflower is the symbol of that. But there's also another symbol. So when the war had started, and Ukrainians tried to convince Russian soldiers not to come to Ukraine. There was a sort of a story that people conveying to them, please don't come and fight us. But if you do, please take the seeds, put it in your pocket, so when we kill you, at least the sunflower will grow out of it. And so that's how Ukraine approached everything, with the humor and with the message, almost like with the ship. So the sunflower became the symbol from that perspective. That unfortunately, I guess for Russian families, but fortunately for us, there's likely to be lots of sunflower fields in Ukraine.
It's very powerful. All right.
And we had not issued the stamp with sunflower yet. So.
Yeah, we're on the lookout for it. Maybe it could be part of that victory stamp. Okay, so the final stamps that I wanted to show you. This will take me a minute.
So the good thing about the stamp, you can turn it around any way you like it.
It's true. I never actually thought about that, but you're right. Okay, so I'll
and we
take
picked
this
the
one
right
out.
letter to be here, right? So it could be M or W, depending.
So funny. I love you've got all these jokes embedded in these. You know, they're all so multi-layered. This is like the fun thing about stamps, anyways. Okay, so I'd love to hear if you've ever seen this stamp before, and then also maybe you know, your thoughts on what it's like to see this from Ukrainians in diaspora thinking about Ukraine, and then also next to the stamp that, of course, Ukroposhta.
I mean, maybe you see, we're a democratic country, so I don't see every stamp. But our commission that looked at different designs for Good Evening We Are from Ukraine stamp might have. So we had lots of people sending us how they see the design. Some with Daha Braha, some with Mykolaiv governor, which became also famous for opening up his speeches with that phrase. And you know, there is a discussion who said it first, so we stay out of that discussion. We know we issued the stamp first, so that's enough. But you know, it's interesting how people. That's why this competition is so popular, because everyone sees the topic differently, and this one is actually a two-layered competition, because we ask people after famous two ship stamps, what should be the next one. And there were like 10 topics. And again, I was totally sure they would pick the different one, but they voted for the topic, I think 52% voted for We Are From Ukraine. And then once we picked the topic, we asked the artists to provide different views. And I think that's one of it, and that's the second one.
Amazing. And how did the public receive the Good Evening We Are From Ukraine stamp?
It's actually the most sold stamp in Ukraine. It's the third stamp. And I think the difference is the first. So the first two has a negative message. I mean, in a sense, it was positive because we sent the ship where it needed to go and it got there. And this one is more positive. And I think that period of time after the first few months of the war, when we know now that we're winning, people wanted to get the positive emotions. And I think this stamp brings exactly that.
I think you're right.
No one would ever think, you know, you would fight with the Russian army with the old tractor and stealing the tank. That shows how powerful the army is. But I think, again, it also became a symbol where, and you would see lots of videos where our farmers, just regular people, just stealing Russian tanks, armored vehicles, etc. For various reasons. Some of them because they just left it. Sometimes they get drunk and, you know, or people made them drunk and then they steal it. So, and the most important part, all those tanks went now to defend Ukraine.
It's great. Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure and an honor to spend time with you.
Thank you very much for doing it, and we hope to continue providing you with some cool stamps.
Awesome. Thanks.